Hey guys, happy Friday. So today is basically the day where I filter through my watch list and my wildcards, and then from filtering through that, I basically decide on which pairs I will keep on watch for the remainder of today. And then after that, later on today, hopefully by midday, what I will do is I will go through all of my currencies, indices, and commodities. Sometimes if I have a bit of time, I'll just dabble with the crypto, but probably wouldn't be taking any trades on that. Currencies, indices, and commodities, I will go through all of them and then basically do a breakdown on them. And then once I've done a breakdown on them, I'll basically narrow down the ones that I'm considering to potentially put on watch list and wildcards. And then once I've done that, I will then narrow it down to the probabilities, likability, and then I'll finalize it when the market has closed completely and have a look at it, refine any changes on all of the pairs again. So go through it all once more, different set of eyes, different set of mindset, more an analytical side, and then I'll start to essentially just mark everything down, so tag it, basically just put all my thoughts down and then basically have it nice and clean. And then when that's complete, I'll put that onto something called Notion, which I might make another video about it, but I definitely have one in my videos where I basically show the transition of full steps process of my week to Sunday market breakdown. So then I'll have them ready for next week. So that's basically what I'll be doing today. But before we get into that later, I'm going to jump straight into this week. So this is how the week's ending. It's ending really nicely. So if we look at the weekly, we can see that we had a very good reaction to this low, which was what we were looking for quite some time. When we did reach it, hence the reason why I said I wouldn't take the short there, just because the risk reward wasn't really in my favor. We can see that we did tap in, we gapped, which was even better because we usually come to fill that gap, and then as we filled the gap, we aggressively started moving up, and now we're in continuation. Very nice for the Euro USD, which I'll go in shortly. So right now, for a solid confirmation of this, I am looking for an aggressive push up. It could even start to correct here ever so slightly before we go, but I am looking for an aggressive push to break this trend, and then we just continue going in the upwards direction, and hopefully we move to one of these price points. If it, on the more aggressive side, we could move to somewhere around about this region. The probability of that isn't very high, but it's possible. I am looking for a correction, but at the same time we could get something larger, so it's in line with the higher time frame. So like I said many times before, if we do get something which is, let's say, of this size, that is not abnormal. That is more than enough to give it the momentum it needs to come down. Now, will it come down to these lows? It's not likely unless there's a massive shift in the market, but we could target this low. So if we can create enough over here to give us that, then we could go. It's very probable, and this is what I'm really hoping for. And it could take some time to form, but during the course of this period now, I'm looking for this tool here. So I'm looking for something like this, and then for it to break above, push back down correctively, and then for us to then make a final little run to this high, and then we just go. So giving us that sort of structured sort of approach to this. This is what I'm really hoping for, but at the same time we could just kind of something else can happen. But even so, there could be plenty of opportunity in here. There could be opportunity up here, there could be opportunity down here, opportunity within here, and then plenty of opportunity on the way down. But if we do get something like this, then I won't be entertaining a third touch, and I don't think the third touch would be very likely. But then looking at it in line with the daily, with that corrective price moving up like this, we could accumulate enough people in the market to catch them out on the wrong side, and then essentially just drop off. And I think that is really the gameplay that I'm really looking for. So keeping it very simple, this is how I'm looking to take the DXY in correlation with the Euro USD. And then if I do look at this bit of price action, we can then evaluate Euro USD and see what sort of price targets are we looking at. So the next one I am looking at is GBP Aussie. Now GBP Aussie is phenomenal. and you know, I'm not just saying that it's phenomenal for any odd reason other than we've tapped into this low that we've been looking at for probably about a few weeks now. And you know, what I'm actually liking about it is that we might get this wick all the way back up, which may not need to get filled. So looking at how price is, it is aggressive on the way down, absolutely, but if we start drilling down a little bit closer, we can then see that, you know, we've actually had a push break lower, really convincing with all this selling, but then we've had a push back up, and then we've made its correction over here to push further. It's more than enough on the higher time frame for us to look at this, and I was looking at this for a potential long, but just given the time, I didn't really want to take it, and it didn't really shape up. But I was looking for, you know, something like this, and then I would have been looking for, you know, an entry to come up like that, and then that would have been sufficient. But we got something a little bit better, in my opinion. You know, if we look at it in the sense of, you know, over here, just grab that, you know, we have this, which I think for the movement it's in, that's more than enough. So if I drill into the 1 hour, it's a little bit more clear. You can see that we know we had this corrective price here, but this could be enough to push it. And I think looking at price, you know, we could make our way up here. How we get there, I don't know. Will it be aggressive? Will it be very choppy? I can't really tell you at this point. I don't think the entries will be very easy on GA. They usually aren't the most easiest trades. Have to read between the lines. They usually are. They are easy once you understand how to take them. For example, I'll give you an example of a GA trade. So we all look at the typical, you know, one sort of, well, we don't all, but people who usually trade this style, we look at it like this. Well, something you'll notice with GA is that rather than this, we usually get this characteristic where it will either be very sharp and aggressive on the third touch, and then push back down very sharp and aggressive. So in terms of an entry, a pending order is sufficient to actually just tag you in, because that candle could be a very big candle and then take out. And I'll just give you an example to the left over here, as you can see it here. You can see this, right? Had you seen this bit of trade here, in order for you to catch this, it would definitely have had to be a reduced risk at that point. Obviously, you could have taken the risk entry, but the reduced risk was there. And then in terms of a risk reward, it may not be something that you'd want 86 pips. So, you know, to current price action, you'd be running about 3%, but in reality, you'd be wanting to get in over here, and you could have got in with roughly, let's say, about a 30 pip stop loss and be running about 10%. So that's the fine line difference of being able to read between the lines. But that's just a little example that I wanted to share. Looking at it over here, there was a really good entry over here. Not the easiest to catch as well, once again. Only reason being is this was not confirmed. This could still have dropped off and then come up. So as it pushed up, you can take an entry in here and then hold that through. So the bias here is really good. That's the thing about it. There's loads of good confluences backing this up. The only negative confluence that I can see is that we've had that sort of aggressive sort of push lower, but it's got a lot of corrections in it. So in my eyes, it is fairly corrective. This whole price is corrective, and it being corrective does give me the indication that we are in a good potential to go up further. The only thing I will be looking at is this little bit of trend here, and I would like to just evaluate this, see if this is evolved. And will this just come back down again? Not the most probable, but could it just come off here, bounce and come lower? I'm not really too convinced with that, so I'm not going to, you know, just shove that on my charts and be like, okay, that's potentially something that's going to play. I want to see if this is enough for us to go now. So if we get some strong momentum pushing up, we'll be in a good trade. The next trade that I'm looking at is Euro Aussie. Now, Euro Aussie is one that phenomenal trade, honestly. It was backing up with GA at the time when, you know, we said that, you know, both of them can go from here, but one of them can still come back lower. And for me, I thought it was going to be EA, but it was actually GA. Always happens to surprise me like that, but they tend to move together, which is a very good thing. And I think on Monday we explained this, how one can just be very corrective. So definitely think, and I'm not sure if it's not here, but there was a good trade in here, there was a good trade in here as well, and now we're looking to continue on the continuation long. So looking at higher time frame, this definitely has the potential to come up. you know, there's more than enough context here. I think EA is a phenomenal instrument, and it's not too late in the run to get involved in this. There's going to be abundance of opportunity, but the move here could be somewhat aggressive, just because, you know, we do have a lot of corrective price, but there will be some good opportunity. I think at the moment the entry is on the play now for a reduced risk. So if you were looking to get involved, you'd probably be too late by the time you watch this video, but the trade is definitely on the table. So I wouldn't personally opt in for this. I would probably look for something like that, but then it's just a little bit too large in my opinion. If that happens, then yeah, for sure I might opt in for a trade, but really and truly I think at this point in time I'm not too sure if that's going to be a good enough trade for me. Looking at how GA is, if GA gets mighty aggressive, this will too, and they'll move together in momentum, and we'll see that push. And right now, GA is gearing up for that buy. So I think, you know, this, if you want to get involved in this, the risk reward may not be the best at this point. Yeah, it wouldn't even be good at all. You wouldn't be able to protect yourself, which is the only thing. So I would just keep an eye on this. If we get some sort of small corrections on the way up, perhaps you could potentially get involved, but really and truly these are the better trades, this one and that one. So we'll wait later. So hence it's not on watch. Aussie US dollar, that aggressive sell-off is beautiful, honestly, absolutely beautiful. Had the trade in here, we're still running, and I think we're just going to continue with that aggressive sell-off now. So that's something that I think is phenomenal. We might see some sort of correction in here. I don't think it'll be way large up to here, but it will be somewhat corrective, and then we might just get the momentum that we need to push lower. I am also aware that we can just tap into this and push further, so we don't need to break this and continue going lower. It's a possibility. There is more than enough on the charts for us to say that this can sell off from here. However, remember, this can still correct to make its way higher. So I wouldn't say put your foot off the gas and just think this is going to sell off, because it can turn around, and it can turn around very sharply. So just be on your A game with your management. Make sure that you're managing your pair extra safe, and also try beat the mass psychology. So, you know, if you think that the mass is going to be managing their position maybe here, you know, perhaps maybe just add a few much on top and put it up here. You know, just protect yourself as much as possible, because if this goes, you're going to be in a very, very good position. And the next one we're going to be looking at is GBP US dollar. So to be honest, GBP US dollar has just sold off aggressively now. Is it one that I could have got involved in? Perhaps, you know, I knew that this was enough. I was looking for a little bit more. It's happened to me a few times where I look for too much, but, you know, we've got to take a message from the market now. If we do start correcting and getting some sort of level of entry over here, then for sure, just look to get involved, because you've got a monster off a run involved if it makes its way down here. So, you know, if we just size this up and we look at this position as it is, sorry, not the best drawings there, and let's just say you get an entry in here, that's probably right, 30, I mean, you can probably squeeze it around about 25, yeah, 25 is about right, and yeah, you could be looking at 11%. So once again, like I said, could be another little pump for you. I think this could go a little bit further actually than here, but I would be looking at profit target around about here, to be fair. But you could be looking at it perhaps coming out, let's say about 14, 15, maybe even 17% if you're lucky. Could push further, go down to 20, but I think, you know, over here is probably a safe call. So I'll be looking for something like that, to be honest, and I think that would be a very, very, very good instrument to be taking a short position on, just because there's more than enough now in here to run this trade. So yeah, just be cool with that one, and when it plays out, it plays out. The only other negative confluence that I was looking at was if it did sell off like this, you know, we have this, and then perhaps maybe there was this, but then looking at it now, it's just not that's not the sort of angle that I'm going to be eyeing up to, you know, to basically say that, you know, this is going to come all the way back up. I don't think it is. I think this is more than enough now to just wait for that. So I might keep that one on soft watch today. And the next one is Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD is very good as well. It's now in that corrective stage where if we look at it on the high time frame, we did have that tap in there, as we saw with Aussie US dollar. We've pushed down, and the way we've pushed down isn't the sort of price action I'm kind of too convinced with now, because when I look at it from where it's rejecting, there's this possibility. However, nevertheless, there's more than enough for this sell to continue, but there's the possibility of something like this to form. And you know, looking at it in hindsight, this is also quite probable, because if we did have a corrective price here, that might be more than enough for us to say let's go short. But I think, you know, given how price has moved now, I think the best thing to do is just wait for some sort of nicer sort of structure to form. Hence the reason we might get something like this, come back down, come back up, and then go. And if we did get something like that, I think I'll be more inclined to look for a short position. If we don't and it just continues pushing higher, then we'll go to that base that we could be coming in for that 1, 2, 3. But this is essentially how I'd look to take it. Perhaps maybe have to miss a little bit, put it, yeah, about 20 pips there. Could be a little higher. Protect myself a little bit more, 16, and then to the low. Once again, you're looking at roughly around about 9% but that will be a phenomenal trade in itself. You know, I think this trade in itself could be the one trade that literally just pumps, because I think there's a lot of momentum being built in a lot of these pairs and they can just really sell off. But anyway, let's jump into the next one, Euro Aussie. Now the thing about this one is it just needs a bit of time, just a little bit of time. With that time, it's going to basically, you know, give us what we need. Now what I'm actually really counting on with this particular pair is that we get this correction come in here, so that we get that nice low. So as we know, we've got in the short up here, but over here we're looking for that scaling opportunity. Now this is obviously trading at this low. We basically tapped into this low, and then as we see this low, we've tapped into it here. If I go to the daily, we have this very strong retrace candle at the top up here. Is it from anywhere significant? So yes, I would say. Can this still pull up higher? Absolutely, but looking at the DXY, we are in that corrective stage, so we can pull back, and it's highly probable that we're going to pull back down very aggressively. But right now what we need to do is we need to evaluate where this is going to be going and how the structure is going to be forming. So I think the 1 hour to 4 hour is more than enough at this point, and I think given sort of how price is, we could create a flag and come up to here. We might even start testing this left shoulder area, so I think that's something that we should be aware of, because we could get a higher time frame head and shoulders, which if we look at it like this being the left shoulder, this being the head, and then the right shoulder here, but then it doesn't actually create the shoulder, it just tests it from here. So I think, you know, bearing in mind that this is a possibility, if we go to the 1 hour chart, I would then more so be thinking, okay, if this correctively moves to here and then we see a sell, then we could be looking to go short from here. That could be more than enough. So I'm going to be aware of this sort of area. That's the 4 hour, which once again, this is where annotation and notes comes in handy. You can just put 4 hour high, and then you can put here, you might want to put it in the middle. Put it to the right, so at least it comes to the right of the screen. I think that is something I might do with all my analysis in the future, is just move it to the right and center it. That's kind of quite nice and clean, to be honest, and I do quite like that. Yeah, I might change it up today for my Friday market breakdown. But Euro USD anyway, so it has a bit of time to correct on it. It can just sell off though, be fully aware of that. It doesn't have to correct and come all the way back up here, but this is a strong possibility. So when that comes in, there could be a scaling and opportunity over here. Could even correct a little bit further, but there's going to be good opportunity to potentially go short again. So there's an opportunity forming. The next one is basically just the 3 yen pairs. I probably won't do a full breakdown on them just because I'm not going to be putting them on watch. Actually, to be fair, I might just take them off completely right now. But yeah, I was looking for this sort of correction. It just seems to have sold off now. So at the moment, I think there was this, which was enough, to be honest. So it just seems like that was enough for it to go. So looking at how price was, it is what it is. These happen. So we'll just take that one off. The next one was New Zealand yen, similar price action. You know, the yen pairs have just decided to sell off. That was a near miss. It could still come up given how price action is here. But at the moment, I'm not going to entertain a trade on this. I'm just going to leave it as it is, go by my day, and then, you know, it's not worth even having it. Then you've got US dollar yen. US dollar yen in line with the DXY. This could be our flag to go higher. This is looking quite nice in my opinion for the long, but given how the other yen pairs are, you know, being right now, I don't think I'm going to entertain a trade there. I'm just going to leave it, to be honest. But this, yeah, there's a few possibilities of, you know, what could potentially happen with this pair. I think at the moment, if we look at it on hourly, which I think is the best, is we've basically tapped into this. And then, you know, will we get something like that, where we just come in here, we correct, and then we push and go aggressively from here? Is that the gameplay? This isn't the sort of price action that I'm going to be looking to get involved in anyway right now, so for that reason I'll take this one off. But I wouldn't take that trade, to be honest. I just don't think. I think it's too close to that low. It's in the middle of nowhere essentially. This line is not confirmed. It's just, there's not much there at all. So yeah, I'll just be hella patient with that. So yeah, essentially these are it. I think yeah, I think EA will be there just for the eyes. You know, it's going to be nice to just watch this one fly if it does. Then we've got GA, which obviously is a phenomenal opportunity, as I mentioned. This has a lot of potential. At the moment, it's still in this corrective price, so we don't know for sure if it's going to go now. But you know, phenomenal price action there. Aussie, US dollar, strong decline. We might see smaller corrections, which are the ones that you want to get involved in. Usually tends to be on the 15-minute chart. Just have to read between the lines. You know, sometimes it's one of them ones where you only see it when it's gone. But it is what it is. Yeah, I think just give it some time. GBP US dollar as well. It needs a bit of time to materialize. And then Aussie CAD. And then you've got Euro USD. So I've put this here. I'll put that down there for soft watch. And yeah, I think it's going to be good. It'll be a good day. It's Friday though, so I wouldn't even try get aggressive on the markets today. Personally, I would say if you're not in a trade, wait till next week, or if a phenomenal opportunity does present itself, don't turn it down. But usually Friday is quite messy and volatile from what I've experienced, but there is always trades to be taken. It doesn't matter what day it is. It's just, I know quite a lot of people as well don't trade on a Friday, but myself, I'm a bit skeptical about Fridays. Sometimes they can just be, you know, a bit annoying because the setups come up, but then it comes up near market close, and then those are not really the trades you always want to be taking. So be cautious, be mindful. Remember, we have swaps and the weekend around the corner, so you can prepare yourself more for next week, and then you might be able to find something which is even better than the trade you might be looking at once you go through all of your pairs. So have a great week, and I'll catch you in the next